Hey there, it's Simon Hurley from Inkclips, and welcome to another live stream I'm doing tonight. I'm excited to hang out with you guys and create a couple cards in today's live streaming kind of video. So I'm going to be sharing how to use kind of one kit type product to create a couple different cards and get some different effects out of the product. I was on Tonic's website and I found something that's a little bit unique and kind of cool. So I wanted to share it with all of you and hang out with you guys and create some projects. So I'll wait until some of you guys join here and maybe grab some popcorn, a drink, and your crafting project so we can craft together. And I'll be looking off to the side here again. My monitor's off to this side, so we're going to be crafting and then I'll be able to see all of your comments as well. So I'll just scroll down here and see what's going on. So I'm going to flip the camera now so we can turn on my work surface and we can start our project here. Okay, so this is what I wanted to share. I have it linked down below in the description. Hello everyone, thanks for joining. So I found this on the Tonic website the other night, and it has an embossing folder and two dies that come along with it. And this embossing folder is kind of split. So I'll share some fun things you could do with it on its own and different things you can create using this. So a variation of cards, which I think is really fun. So it's not necessarily a kit, but I kind of think of it like that because it's a couple different products in one. Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining. So again, I'll have everything linked down below. If you have any questions while we're crafting about anything, I would love to answer them and kind of chat along with you guys as we create our projects tonight. So here's kind of what the embossing folder creates, and then this is what the die cuts up here. So I'll share maybe 5 projects throughout the video on a couple different things you can create with it. And let me know how the stream is turning out too, the quality of the stream. Let me know if it's blurry or anything like that, and I'll be sure to kind of look into it. So here's one of the things I've already created before the stream. It's got these fun flowers on it, and it's all detailed because of that embossing folder, but it's got that die cut out of it. So this will be kind of one of the projects that we share, and then I'll share a couple more as well. Okay, so here's what I'm going to start out with. I'm going to create something that's as tall as this. So I think I cut my cardstock to 6 and a little bit more inches. Okay, everybody's saying the quality is great. Awesome. Okay. So, and then I folded it a little bit over and left about 1 inch of room on this side. And that'll just leave us enough room to cut out the little window of flowers here. So I'm going to start off with this die. Hey everyone. From England, it's 3 a.m., but you're wide awake to watch. Awesome. I'm so glad you guys are joining in today's stream. So I'm going to cut a little window, and I'll kind of line it up with this edge, so we'll end up cutting a little bit of this edge off here. So I'm just going to line it up, and then I'll grab my purple tape, and I'm going to just tape down a little bit. So I'll tape it down just to make sure it doesn't shift in my die cutting machine. And I think that'll be enough. I'll set this off to the side, but we're going to keep using everything in here several times. Because you can really get your use out of this the way that they've designed it. So I just got a GEMINI Junior too, so I wanted to share that with you guys. So I'll probably do a whole video on this too. So I've got the plastic plate, the plastic shim, the metal shim. It's purple tape, so it's a great tape that I think ThermoWeb made to use on your projects. So I find that die cutting machines kind of flatten out the fold on your card and create some weird things like that. So I'm just going to line it up right with this magnetic plate. And this can be sometimes a little bit tricky to line up, but it's really strong. So that's why it's super strong for this die. And even though my paper holds up or hangs over the edges a little bit, I think hopefully it'll still be able to run through. Hopefully it'll still be able to run through because I think there's a little bit of room on each edge. So I made sure to tape it down. The die is facing upward so that it cuts through this plate at the top. I'll bring in my machine here, and then we can turn it on. And when I put this through, it's all electric, so it'll take it on its own, which I really love. Okay. So look at how fast that cut it, and this cuts really detailed stuff. And it cuts it really well too, which I fell in love with. So I'll pull this out, and look, half of the little inside pieces are already falling out there. So you can see really just how detailed this cuts. So I'll swipe off most of these into the trash here, so I can make sure I'm not making a mess on my desk. And I'll be using this for cutting and embossing throughout the video too. And that magnetic shim is really strong, so it really holds that dye down nicely too. I have this GEMINI linked down below too, in case if you guys are interested. So it's the junior machine, but look how easy that cuts everything out. So I'll peel off my purple tape here, carefully peeling it off the surface. And look, all those little pieces come out really easily. And there we have our little window area there. So you could leave it just like this, with this edge open like that. But I could have ran it through at the same time actually. But I'm going to just go in with another dye that comes with this set here. And this dye is just a line that matches. So this is a line that matches up with what we just had cut out. And it hangs just a little bit over the edge here. So I'll line that up with my project. The dye is from a Tonic kit. It's linked down below. I'm not exactly sure what it's called. It's some flower name for sure. But it has the dye, and you'll see some other cool stuff too, with embossing folders and some cool things you could do with it. So, oh, I forgot. I need to flip this upward. You always want to make sure the dye is cutting face up. So this is a little bit tricky since my project is kind of big. There is a larger version of the GEMINI too. So just because it's hanging over a little bit, I just want to make sure it's really centered. But you don't have to be that careful when you're lining up your dyes. So I'll turn my machine back on and feed it right through just like I did before. And it'll just run through by itself. So I love how this runs through by itself so easily, and you're not having to sit there and crank a machine for a ton. So if you have trouble with cranking those machines or in your hands or things like that, this definitely really helps. So I'll pull off the tape. We got lots of people excited. Hi, Anna. She said she made it into the stream, which is awesome. I agree, this dye is awesome. I have it linked down below. It's from a Tonic. I call it a kit. It's not from the Tonic kit. It's just a product that they make, which comes with an embossing folder and these two dyes. And I was just really excited about it. So I decided that I wanted to share a video after I created a project. So I'll just cut off the little edges here. Just make sure that's nice and lined up. And I'll just chop those off. Now it didn't cut super evenly. I think that magnetic plate picked it up. I probably should have had 2 pieces of tape on it so it didn't move. But that's totally okay. We have our fun little window there too. And if you thought the dye was amazing, just wait. So I'm gonna cut off a little bit of this so that it's 4 1/4. I made the piece a little big. So this is a 4 1/4 card by 6 inches and a little tiny bit more. But if you think the dye is amazing right now, just wait 1 second. So I'm gonna grab the embossing folder that came with it. So you can see on one side of the embossing folder, and I'm gonna share a couple projects as well. If you guys just joined, I'm sharing a couple projects tonight using this. So the embossing folder has these flowers on one side which match the dye, and then this side has waves on it. So what we can do now is we can take this flower portion of the embossing folder, and I think, or wait, actually, can we not line it up in here? you know, we might not be able to line it up because it's part of that card. So I'll share how we do that in just a second, because I don't think we can line this up inside of here. No, it has to be, okay. So I could do it if I cut off this edge, but I just want to keep this on because I think this card is pretty cool. So I'll share something fun with this card, and then we'll move right on into this. I didn't realize that it was inside there. I forgot about that. So I'll set off to the side my plates here. And I'm just going to go in here with a little bit of color. So what do you guys think? I think I'll go in with some watercolor. But I'm going to use the Distress Oxides to do it. So I'll take my little mat here. This is that little replacement for Tim's mat with Tonic, that little glass media mat. This is that part where you can put the inks on it really nicely. So I'll take some Distress Oxides. I've got these linked down below too. And I'll just go in and set a couple colors down. So I use Candied Apple, Fossilized Amber, Lucky Clover, and Twisted Citron. So this is just a fun palette of some bright colors and some neutrals in there too. So I'll go in with my water brush. Maybe it's considered a set. It's just a product on their website. I'm not sure. It's probably considered a set because it's a couple products. It's like a dye and embossing folder kind of set, and I think it's really fun. It was a really cool idea, and I was really intrigued by it. So I picked it up, and I was excited. So I used it the other day, and I was like, I need to create a video. So I'm really excited to bring it to you guys tonight. And I thought, what better way to do this than a live stream? I love chatting with you guys too. So I'll just go in here, and I'll kind of, hi Joy, I'll watercolor this in kind of messy. And I feel like that kind of matches the look of this dye. It's kind of a little bit messy, kind of fun, playful dye. So I'm just going in, and you don't have to stay exactly in the lines. I'm not trying to be super perfect here. Just trying to kind of give this a quick coat of watercolor. And you don't have to be perfect. When you're doing watercolor, I really love the look of, you know, I didn't try, but I tried with watercolor, you know, because watercolor can be hard to control completely. But I love that kind of not caring look. But like you really did care and take a ton of time to do it, because watercolor can sometimes be tricky in that way. So the one thing I love about Distress Oxides, or one of the many things that I love about them, is you can kind of layer your color. But I'm going to wait till that red dries a little bit more. Hi Melody. I'm so excited that you love my tutorials. So I'm going in with that Lucky Clover now, and again, just really quickly kind of coloring it in. And I'm going to actually make sure, even if it's dry, the red will still bleed just a little bit. I can't be too worried about that. You don't want to mix them too much because red and green do make mud. So I'm just going to kind of try to keep them away, but again, going for that little bit of a messy look. So if it does bleed, it's not super bad. I'm just doing it on regular cardstock, so it's not giving, you know, the regular, like really watercolored effect. This is kind of just taking the ink right into the cardstock, just because it's that Neenah cardstock, so it just takes the color really fast and doesn't really give it, you know, that waiting time there. So just quickly coloring this in. And if you do make mud with the colors, if you mix them a little bit too much, you can always go in and take a rag and just blot it up a little bit, and you can kind of remove a little bit of the color with that. So this water brush is almost out of water, but I have a couple others in here that are on the ready. Okay, so now I'll go in with this yellow color, and I'll just go in the center of some of these red flowers. And this just adds a little bit of shading, and it makes a little bit more interest. And I love the look of these bright, warm colored flowers. I think they're really awesome. I'm not really sure what color these flowers are usually, but I think this red really suits them well. And then you can't forget about this light green color. I love some Twisted Citron just to brighten up the painting. So you can see those dull kind of leaves with that Lucky Clover. That's still a bright color, but Twisted Citron just adds that like really neon kind of color into there and really complements that green nicely. So I tend to use these colors together quite a bit, just because they really go hand in hand for like coloring this kind of thing in to get that bright color in there. So again, look, that's pretty messy, right? That's kind of messy, but I love that look. So that's that finished card there with those flowers. To put some glitter stock behind the card, the die cut area, that would be awesome. That would, that's a great idea. And even with this extra color here, we've got some extra color. So guess what we're gonna do? I'm gonna go in here with my spray bottle. And this time I'm gonna grab a piece of watercolor cardstock. Just because I find with this, it takes the color a little bit better. And I'll just go in and blot my surface a little bit. So look, we barely got much color from that. But I'll take this and we might make mud here. So if we do, just know I warned you. But we're gonna just spray this down a little bit and kind of dip some of that color in. And look, we made a little bit of mud, but not too bad. I think that still creates a pretty fun background. And hey, maybe I'll even show a card with this. So look, it's just really bright color. Okay. Sorry, I was reading some of the comments there. So this is that really bright color, and it didn't make too much mud, which I'm kind of surprised about. But that Distress Oxide, I love that so much. And when you spray it, those colors become even more vibrant. So some people are saying they enjoyed my craft room. My craft room tour, thanks so much. I really enjoyed filming that. Yeah, layering Distress Oxide is really fun to watercolor with. Hey Christopher, welcome. I'm doing a tutorial with some watercolor and some, with a Tonic dye and embossing folder too. So I'm gonna give a little bit of time for this card to dry, but you can see that fun window that you cut out in. Yeah, people were giving lots of great ideas with the glitter cardstock in here, so we'll finish this card off in just a little bit. You love the leftover Oxide look. I love this too. I was not expecting that to turn out that well. So I'm gonna clean up the rest of this. It kind of got a little bit muddy there, but you could definitely keep going and dipping that in too. Oh, everybody's saying they love the craft room tour. Thanks guys. I really enjoyed filming it and creating it, and me and my dad had lots of fun building the craft room. So let's move on to the next kind of thing you could do with this. So I, made a little mistake earlier by pointing out that we couldn't actually, die cut that out of it. So I want to share that now and do the die cutting and embossing portion. So I'm going to tape this right up to the edge of a piece of cardstock. And this one we're not going to use the whole piece or the whole card. So we don't really have to worry about it, lining up with the edges completely. So I'll put this magnetic shim below it, die cutting side up. And again, we're going to run it through that GEMINI Junior. I really find that it die cuts so nicely. And it really has saved me a lot of time already, and I just got it today. So I'll run this through again. And it's already done. So even being an electronic die cutting machine, having it electric and that fast is really awesome. So look, all the die cut pieces are already falling out. Is it expensive? It is a little bit pricey, but for what you're getting with the, the whole machine die cutter, and it's way easier on your hands and things like that, I would definitely recommend it. Just because it cuts all these intricate pieces so well. So it's saved me a lot of time already, and I just got it. So I've been saying that a lot, but I think it's definitely worth it. You just taught your 8-year-old daughter the technique of water with Distress Oxides. Showing her now how I used it. Awesome. Yeah, that turns out so nicely with the water. So again, this die cut by itself already looks cool. I love that background. I can't really say much more about it. But if you go in here, this embossing folder has that same design on it. it definitely saves a lot on your arm. So this has a lot of really detail on it. So I'm going to go in here, and I think, let's see, I think it goes this way, yeah. So you just want to line up the piece, and it's pretty easy. It's got like, excuse my head a little bit here, I just have to look right over top of it. But when you're lining it up, it's got an area where it kind of like shows you. I have to cut it down just a tiny bit. So sometimes trimming it off, just a tiny bit to get it into that folder. So I designed it just to really fit nicely in there. So I'll lean over it again. And it lines up kind of just in those grooves. Like it almost lines up by itself. There we go, I got it this time, nice and lined up. And then I can fold it down. And you can see it lines up really nicely in there. If it's off a little bit, I don't think it's gonna really do much. Do you have to use the magnetic board on everything? I don't think you do. Like right now I'm removing it for the folder. I don't know if you do exactly, I haven't tested it without it, but I love the magnetic board just because it holds down your dies really nicely, and I have some trouble with that. Okay, you don't use the magnetic on everything. So I'll run this right through the machine here. And I'll put that off to the side again. Are you guys ready? This is where it gets really awesome. So when I pull this out, look, I think that is so cool. So just carefully pull it out because it's a little bit more fragile now. It kind of got stuck in there. So here you go. Look at that fun detail. I hope you guys can catch that. Look at that. So even if you guys didn't catch that completely, I'm going to share how to ink this up and really get a cool background. So again, I'm going in with those same colors of the Oxides. I love these colors. Or should I go in with some blues? Maybe I'll do blues in just a second. So I'll go in, I'm using my round blending tool here. And maybe I could go in with my minis, but I'm just, to do it a little bit quicker, I'm using this larger round one. Just a little tiny bit of pressure. And I'll go in with my minis on the smaller flowers. So again, not really taking too much time to do it. You guys could definitely take a lot more time to go in with your tools here. But look, just running that over the surface with the blending tool is a wow factor. It like brings in all that detail and makes it look so awesome. And again, I'll end up cutting off this edge of it, this portion, because I just want those flowers. So having a light hand with this, with the embossing, is super cool. Okay. If you guys do buy any supplies that I share in today's video, I would love if you could use the links down below. It really does help me out, and I get a little % of the commission for showing you guys the products without you guys having to pay anything extra. So it just helps support me. So then I'll go in with the other mini dauber. These are detail daubers from Ranger. So these are really helpful for little tiny areas. So like I'm gonna go in and highlight the centers of these flowers. Again with that yellow fossilized amber. These come in packs of 5. And they're just so nice. They're double-ended, but they're so nice for going in little detailed areas like this. So you can just dedicate each one to a little tone. And I find myself using these so much because if it's not a job for that larger blending sponge, it's a job for this for sure. This is a detail blending tool from Ranger, so it's super nice. And I'll compare, look. So this is the regular mini blending tool. So this is their mini, and then this is their detail. So it's so tiny compared to that. Even the mini one is tiny compared to. So you can really get in all the little spaces you wanted to. Okay, so then I'm going to go in with my little blending tools again here. And I'm going to go in with the Lucky Clover ink. And again, I'm just going to go in and really kind of lightly, with a light pressure, go in here. And it just hits those raised areas first. It still gives those other areas a little bit of coloring, but it just captures that detail even better than you can because it's that embossed detail. Yeah, they are super handy. I agree. Ever since I got them, when they released, I have been using them non-stop because you never like know you need something. It's that one tool you never knew you needed until you get it, and then you remember you have them, and then you use them in all these little tiny areas. And then you wonder what you did without it beforehand. So look, and I covered that pretty fast too. So even though it's tiny, you can still quickly like cover things. And then I'll go in with the Lucky Clover ink. I'll take a new clean, or no, this is Twisted Citron, sorry. This is that lighter green. And look, just going in again to bring that bright vibrance back to the color there. So I do this a lot. Like I said, I was using these colors a lot together. For like shading and giving highlights, it really helps nicely. Yeah, so I have these tools linked down below in the description too. So in case if you're interested, that's awesome. So look at this fun background. And one thing that I love to do with the oxides, and I'm not sure if everybody knows this, but if you take a little bit of water in a spray bottle, just lightly mist it from above. I give it a couple sprays, not too many to like oversaturate it, but just enough because the oxides react with the water, just like the Distress inks did, except the oxides oxidize. So these become like brighter and they like come to life when you spray them, which is super cool. So I'll clean up my work surface or my work area. You could always clean that up with another piece of paper again, like I did earlier. And I'll set this off to the side too, but I'll end up cropping this and putting it on a card just like I did with this one. So this is the similar, background that I created with the embossing area on there. So you could either leave it plain or do the embossing for two completely different looks on the card. So I'll set that off to the side again. We're going to keep working here and keep creating some more cards. So another thing you could do is just use the embossing folder. So if I wanted to, I could go in here, grab a piece of cardstock, and actually wait, maybe we'll do some inking. I think we'll do some inking on here because that's always really fun to do. So I'm going to take this area here. So we're going to do it like this. We're going to press this area here with the ink. I think this is the side that I want. Sometimes it's a little confusing. So I'll take this, I'll take my Distress Oxide ink, and I find these work nicely for this. And I'll just spread it over the surface of this. You guys have probably seen this before. It's super fun. So then, without like really moving the cardstock, I'll take it and press it down in there. You make sure that it doesn't move. I'll really press it down and make sure that it's not moving around in there because you'll get kind of a mixed result if it moves. We're going to keep creating with this card until all my ideas run out. So again, this kit is super useful. When I first saw it, I had to have it. So again, just being super careful that this doesn't open. Oh, awesome. Okay. I used the fossilized amber ink for this. I'll run it through. I'll let the Gemini take it over for me. Okay, so I'll set that off to the side. And again, being really careful about this because we don't want anything to move inside there. So I'll lift it off the surface and look at that cool effect you get there. So I think maybe if you used a dye ink that wasn't, the oxides, because these, is that still wet? Yeah, I think it is. I've never tried it with the oxides before. So I wanted to give it a go and see how it turned out. It still gives a cool effect, but it's a little bit blotchy because it's on that non-porous surface. So I wonder what'll happen if we go in with the water. So I'll just spray that. Oh, See, that looks awesome. This is what I love about the Oxide inks. So I'm going to go in with a rag here and just blot up some of that color. We don't want all of it to come up. And look, you get that really concentrated color in the background areas, and then white or like a little bit of tinted yellow in that front since I just sprayed it. So it's a little bit tinted, not completely white, but I love that background. You could just emboss it in white too for maybe like, say, a wedding card or something like that. But I love the look of this with that color in there. So you could definitely do this more plain and more subtle too, but I really love bold color. So this looks awesome. And I can't wait to add that onto a card. So I'll set this off to the side again to dry as well, and we're gonna keep moving on with some more cards here. So to clean up my embossing folder, just because it was just Distress Oxide and it's water reactive, I've got some water on my sponge and I'll just go in here and quickly wipe it out. There's nothing, I don't have to use too many harsh cleaners since it's just, you know, the Oxide inks. So we'll move on to the next card then. So when do the oxides dry? Does it say bright? I believe so. We'll see. I think so, because this is basically dry and it's still really vibrant and bright. So it depends it depends like what colors you're using. So if you use a super bright color, it stays really bright. It does oxidize over a little bit, so it gives kind of like a cool, I don't know how to say it, like oxidized effect, with a little bit of like a cool sheen on it. Thank you so much. You said the colors on my cards pop. I love using bright colors on my cards. Okay, so another cool thing with that too, to use this embossing folder, and look, I've kind of been ignoring this side a little bit, but don't ignore it because it's pretty useful. I'm gonna go in here and I'm just gonna take this piece. I'm gonna go in and, where should I put the waves? I think I'll put the waves like this. Actually, we'll put them like this on the card. So I can always chop off that top part. And we'll just have the bottom left. So I'll pull in my die cutting machine again, the GEMINI. I'll bring in the 2 plates that we need. Excuse my reach there. And then I'll line up the folder with the 2 plates here in the middle. And then I'll run it right through. Okay. So when I pull it out of my machine here, now I've got these cool waves. So you don't have to ignore these because even though that flower design is really awesome, so you still have some of that up there. You got these waves underneath, and you could also use both of these together. I don't feel like that would look bad either, but I like that they included the waves just to give you a little bit of an extra kind of design with your die and embossing. Thank you, everyone's saying they love the colors. Yeah, like I said, I'm obsessed with bright colors. So I'll go in my Oxide drawer, and a lot of people were commenting on my video that Oxides aren't supposed to be stored sideways, so I have to come up with a new storage because I remember Tim saying that you shouldn't store them sideways because they separate them. So I might have to add these onto my wall too. So I'll grab some colors here. I'll just take some color and go in here and just smoosh it on those waves. So just kind of letting my blending tool hit the top, but it can also go a little bit in there. I'm not too worried about it. And I'll go in with some Mermaid Lagoon too. And I'll just blend it again. Not being too worried about it, but I'm just going in with kind of a lighter pressure than I usually would. Just so that it hits those top areas more than it does in the bottom area. So I'll close that up. Then I'll go in with some Blueprint Sketch. And I'll go in with some blue here. And I'm just kind of blending those together. These are like almost effortless blending. That's one thing I love about them. Since they're kind of like dye and pigment, you don't get those harsh lines or anything, and it's really easy to blend, but it almost acts just like a dye ink. So that's what I love about these. And I've been using them like non-stop. And just because it's a sea background doesn't mean we can't add some of my fun colors into here too. So I'm grabbing some fossilized amber, just going in with some yellow, and touching some of those top areas that are raised up. And I do this on a lot of my sea backgrounds. I don't know why, but I love adding the bright colors in there too, because I feel like just blues can sometimes get a little bit boring. So I'll go in with some Twisted Citron too, and I just mix it up a little bit with some of these brighter colors. And it brings that bright back into the background. After I've blended that on there, again, it might look a little bit dull because they're all kind of blending together. And if you don't want that, okay, I want to get my spray bottle spraying nice and even because it's got some random drops there. So I can lift those up if I want to. You get kind of a cool effect there. But I just want a nice even spray to get those colors to kind of brighten and come alive, you know. And that's what I love. So there's that background. It's lots of fun. It's got all those colors in there. And there's no dye to cut out the wave. So I'll go in here. I'll just quickly heat set this. So I'm just going to quickly grab my heat tool and heat set it. Thank you so much. Yeah, the colors really, the embossing kind of is good on its own, but when you add the colors on top, the ink and stuff like that, I love the look of that. And it does. It really enhances that embossing on there. So you can always go in with your scissors here, since the dye isn't included, and I'll just go kind of with a little bit of a border, and I'll just go right around these waves. And by doing that, I can create my own little cut out there, and I don't have to use those flowers on it. So don't be discouraged if there's no dye for something. You can always cut it out. And I'm using these giant Tim Holtz shears. I find that with fussy cutting, even like bigger areas, I use these shears so much. More than little tiny scissors, just because for me, it's easier to have to open them less and kind of continue the cut, and I get kind of more of an even line like that. So if you're having trouble fussy cutting, remember to move the paper along instead of moving your scissors, and you'll get a smoother cut. I find that that really helps. It does take a little bit of practice, so if you're a little bit discouraged at first, but you can make a cool border or whatever you want around it, and it gives a really even cut if you move the paper instead of the scissors. So I'll flatten that back out there, and here's my fun wave background. So again, look, that's so much fun there with all those colors in it. So we've got those bright colors, and a lot of people like to know the colors. So I use Peacock Feathers, which is a lighter blue. I use Mermaid Lagoon, Blueprint Sketch, and then I threw in some Twisted Citron and Fossilized Amber. So these are really bright, but I love adding them in. So those were the colors that I used to create these waves, and you could just, add this onto a card, for example. This is the other one that we created, but you could add it right onto there, and let's say like throw in a little eel. This is from Studio Katia. You could put that on there, put a little sailboat or something, and just add a quick sentiment. And there's that finished card. So you've got a really quick card just with that background there. So I'll set that off to the side. We're up to like, I think four cards that we've created, or maybe, actually no, 5 cards that we've created so far with these, but I think you could even do more, so I'm just going to keep going. Yeah, it doesn't mean it has to be a C. That's just how I colored it. But you could totally, you can make it a roof. You can turn it this way. You can just make it a fun background to go along with some flowers. So it doesn't have to be, you're right, Connie, it doesn't have to be waves, which I think is really cool. You can really be creative with this set, which is what I loved about it. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to grab another piece of cardstock, and we're going to do some more embossing. So I'm just gonna go in and I'll line this up to that edge there. Yeah, it could be ruffles too, on like a dress or something. You could create like a wedding cardigan. That's always fun. I love using things for different purposes. So I'm gonna go in here. I haven't tried this yet, but we're gonna try it on here. Yeah, you can make anything with art as long as you have the imagination to do it. You could really create anything, which is so cool. I love that. So I'm gonna go in here, and I think, is it just I think I have to have the plastic plate underneath it. You guys, if you have a Gemini, help me out here. So I think you have to do the plastic plate, and then this goes on top so that it cuts into this. Okay. I hear that's it, so I think I'm gonna go with it. I might just wait a second. I think that's right. We're just gonna go for it. Or am I completely wrong? I don't know, will that cut the mat? Does anybody have a Gemini here? I might just try it. Okay, somebody said right. Okay, we'll go with it. I'm gonna run it through here. Wait, then you said no. Not sure, I don't have a Gemini, sorry. Okay. So, you know, we're gonna try it. Oh, yes, don't try it. Okay. Should I not try it? I think... Okay. I'm gonna put it like this. This is how I always cut before. With the embossing folder, that mat there, and then I'll put that on top and run it through. Okay, we'll see. We might have just cut that through. We're gonna check here. Okay. No, we didn't. We're good. Okay, so this is exactly what I wanted. Awesome. So I wasn't trying to cut the die. I'm just trying to emboss here. So this is exactly what I wanted. So it doesn't cut all the way through, which is awesome. Where's my instruction book? I put it away with the box up on my shelf. I thought that I knew how to use it, but it turns out I did not. So awesome. So this is exactly what I wanted. You can use your dies for the embossing too. So even though we've got that embossing folder, that just embosses the details. So we can use the die to cut, but not actually cut through. So it just makes those fun indents or impressments right there. What do you think? Maybe I'm gonna add some ink to this too. Or I think we'll do some ink smooshing, like I did on the other piece. So this is just a regular piece of cardstock though. So we're gonna give it a try here. So I'll go in here with the red. Then I'll grab some yellow. We'll put the green down here. And then I'll put that twisted citron in here too. So just get a nice spray down there so it beads up. And I'll go right in and I'll bring some of this color in. So again, red and green can sometimes make brown, but we're hoping it doesn't today. Made a little bit of brown there, but I think we're mostly good. You've got these bright colors going again. So that just hits those embossed areas. I don't know if this is my favorite, but I kind of like the look of it. It's like really distracting, but I think it's kind of cool with that embossed area in there. Maybe you want to do something more subtle with that background, and I totally get that. But I'm going to go in with my heat tool quick. And one thing that I love somebody said, you're so glad I played with Distress Oxides tonight. You bought a dozen colors and never used them. Well, that's awesome. I'm so excited that I can give you some inspiration. So I'll go in with the fossilized amber here. I'll go in with some twisted citron. And I'll bring in some more of that red too. Just a tiny bit of it. We're going to spray it some more, and since you're only as good as your next layer with Distress Oxides, I can go in here and just tap on a little bit of color here and there. And you want to do this when it's dry, because you get that next layer of fun color there. And it's not showing up super well, like what I was trying to do there, just because it's such a small area, but you can see little beads of yellow there. And I just like getting those little drops in there. Yeah, tonight we're just kind of jumping in and trying everything. We got a lot of new stuff, so I'm excited to just play. Okay, so I'm going to go in here and heat this up now. Yeah, I love just kind of throwing down color and playing with it, because again, I always say, it's only just paper. Since it's only paper, you don't need to really worry about it, because if you mess up or you don't love the result, it's just a piece of paper. You can get rid of it, you can try it again, which is awesome. That's what I love about making cards, is it's just a piece of paper. So you can always keep creating with it. And I go in with this green too. I'm going to go in with a little bit of a darker color. And look, you get that fun, like, spattering of color there, which is so cool. And yeah, you want to make sure you dry in between each layer when you're doing something like this, because if you don't dry, it'll kind of all blend together. And I love these little tiny drops here. So I make sure that it's nice and dry. So again, I'm going to go in and dry this off. And look, with this one, you could just leave it like this. With this one, you don't have to cut this off. You can if you want to, but I kind of love that color on this side too. So I might just keep it like that. You're so afraid of doing backgrounds, you can't blend the colors. I find it's almost, you can't really go wrong with it, and if you do, again, it's just paper. But if you're trying to blend the colors, try going with warms and keeping warms together, and then keeping cool colors together. So that's like red, oranges, and yellows, and pinks, and things like that are warm. And then do like a background of like greens and blues and colors like that blends nicely together too. Which is what I usually stick with. You can tell on my backgrounds that I usually, stick with, cools, maybe throw in a little bit of warms. So with this one, we're using, red and yellow, kind of orangey kind of colors, which mix. But then that green is a cooler color. So playing with that with the reds can kind of be fun. To make sure you're not, making browns or anything. It can kind of be fun to play with and see what effects you can get. But yeah, you can look at your color book, anything like that. I just tend to kind of play around until I get the effect that I really love. So what do you guys think? Should I keep going with these cards? I think it's really fun to create with you guys here. What do you guys think? I think maybe I'll create one more card. And I think we'll use, what else? I think I had one more idea. I'm not exactly sure what I was going to do, but I think I had one more here. Well, another idea to do with this background here that we created, you can always go in and die cut it, you know, just with the regular flowers or whatever. So you can go in here and take this and die cut it right through. But this could always also be fun in here. So just taking this embossing folder and doing something that's already colored can be so much fun. So look, I think I'm gonna go in here and do this. You'll watch whatever I make. Awesome, I'm so glad. That's so awesome to hear. I'll grab my 2 plates. So we're just using the 2 plastic plates, and we'll put the embossing folder in the center. It's so much fun chatting with you guys tonight. I knew I wanted to do a fun live video. It's always great to talk to you guys. So I've got these stacks together like this. Again, we're just gonna run it through, let the GEMINI Junior take its... Set your book with your plates so you can have it handy and try new techniques. I'm gonna do that after tonight, after I almost messed up that die cutting sandwich there. So with this, it's a little bit hard to see, right? Because it's that embossing. I'm gonna show you something really fun with this that I love to do. So I'm gonna go back here, grab the blending tool. Susan, you rearranged your craft room after watching my tour. Oh, that's so awesome. I'm so glad that so many of you guys loved that tour. I was kind of thinking about doing it for a long time, and I thought my room isn't completely always going to be ready, and I was just kind of putting it off. So I decided to post it, and I might do a couple updates when my room changes or when I get things organized and more added to it and things like that. So I'm going to go in with some Walnut Stain Distress Oxide. We're really going in with these Oxide inks. I'm going in with the blending tool, and I'm just going to lightly go in here. And like this time I'm doing it super lightly because I don't really want to get the areas underneath. I just want to get the top area. So I'm going in super light. So light that I have to concentrate and not talk. But look, that is so much fun. So I'm going to do this the whole way through. Well, I'm so glad you guys are having fun chatting with me. It's always so much fun to create with you guys and kind of chat and bounce ideas off of each other and talk about products together. I totally sold you on the IKEA units. That is awesome. Yeah, they're awesome. I was wondering about getting them for a little while, and then I was like, as crafters, we have so many tiny things like little bottles and jars and like markers and stuff like that, and things that get lost in like giant drawers. So although I do have a couple bigger drawers, those IKEA units really help me out with all the little tiny bottles and stuff. We have some bigger tools, but a lot of it's like a bunch of little tiny things. So instead of getting like a bunch of bins and having them all buried inside of there, I decided to do those drawers. And they're not too pricey either. It's kind of an investment. I kind of decided I was going to invest in the room. So if you go a little bit darker here, you get some of that brown in the background. It doesn't really matter too much. It just kind of dulls down the colors in the background. Look, this is so much fun. But yeah, I kind of just thought of it as an investment. I use this room every day, so it's great to have a room that's inspirational and super functional for me. If you guys haven't seen the room tour, I would love if you could check that out too. Get some inspiration over there on how to organize a little bit. And I'm not perfect with organizing too. I grab some different things from different artists that work for them, in case if I don't completely have a system, and I find that works really nicely too. So again, like I always do, we're gonna spray this just because, just to kind of activate the colors. I do this a lot in my videos too. Sometimes I'll cut it out, sometimes I'll leave it in there, but I always do this just because it really brightens up that color, no matter what. Thank you, Peggy said, that card is stunning. Thank you so much. I Love how this turned out with that brown on top. You could add black like I did the other day. Yeah, this is embossing. This is a background that I had already like watercolored earlier, and then I just put some walnut stain, Distress Oxide on with a blending sponge. So that looks like so much fun, and I'll probably end up cutting this off and creating a card with it just like that. So you can really find some cool ways to use these dies here. Okay guys, I think I'll share one more way. I just thought of it right now, and I always find that doing a technique like this at the end is always really helpful. If you're not totally, sold on using it all together and you really want, like I've showed a lot of ways to use it, you can really come up with even more ways with your imagination, because you could use products completely differently than I'm even thinking of, than I could even think of ever. So here we go. I'm just going to take another piece of cardstock here, and I'll go in, align it right with that bottom edge here, and we're gonna die cut this out. So I've been using my die cutting machine a lot tonight, but I'm keeping this GEMINI just out on my desk here, just off to the side. Oops, my cord just fell and went in frame. But I'm keeping this machine off to the side of me and using it now in my videos because I find that it's so helpful to have right next to me, and then I want to die cut in my videos then. I have no idea where there it is, my magnetic shim. So this is the kit. Isn't actually really a kit, it's just a product with an embossing folder and these two dies that we've been using the whole night. I'm not sure exactly how much it costs, but I do have it linked down below. I forgot exactly how much it costs, but it's all linked down below in the description box, where you guys can buy it there at Tonic. And I think it's a pretty reasonable price for all the different things you could do with it. So I'll run this through my GEMINI. Thanks so much, Joanna, saying thumbs up. This machine is a little bit loud, I do have to say that, but it's totally worth it. It's a little loud, so if you're like crafting when little ones are asleep or something, you don't want to wake them up. So that might not be a great idea, but for me, being loud in here is completely fine. Just because that motor is so powerful. The whole world of crafters will be organized after watching each other get organized, and we can dream. I used to not be super organized because I used to work down in the basement and there wasn't really room for much. I was working on like a folding table, but I still found myself being super creative too. And even though you're not organized, I find that when everything's not organized, it can also be fun because then you're just grabbing things that are off your desk. So like if I have like inks and stuff out, I'll just grab an ink and go with it, So creativity can come in lots of different ways. So I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna paint these again, but then we'll do something really fun with them. Okay, Linda, so the set is $26.99. Thanks so much for posting that in there. I think it's definitely worth that because it's an embossing folder and a couple dies. And this die is pretty big too. So I think it's a good value for what you're getting inside, and I've been creating lots of cards with it. When I saw it, I got so excited because I saw just so many opportunities to create with it on the website. So I'll grab my little mat too, and I'm gonna grab my inks again. I've been using the same couple inks this whole time. Actually, wait, maybe we should change it up a little bit. I'll change the colors just so we can have a variation of the card we've been creating. So I'm gonna grab some Mermaid Lagoon. We're gonna create some bright blue flowers. I'll throw in some Blueprint Sketch, some Twisted Citron, Fossilized Amber, and then I'll throw in some Lucky Clover again. So again, just playing with some color combinations can be really fun. And actually, Let's go in with some seedless preserves too. And wilted violet could be fun. We'll see which one's brighter and shows up better. So I'm just squeezing a little bit of color. I'm using a water brush here to do my coloring. And I'll go in and I'll just create a couple flowers here. So I'm just watercoloring quickly. Again, going for that kind of look where you didn't really care, but you cared. Like it looks like you didn't care, but it takes a longer time than you think to watercolor. So I'll go in, just kind of scribble on some color there. I'll do some in blue. Are these warm colors? No, these are, the blues are cool colors. The purple is kind of, like purple could be either. It kind of depends what tone it is. And then these greens are cool and the yellow is warm. So I'm playing around with colors here. But if you're just starting out and want to play with colors, I do a lot of backgrounds in the same color families. Love Tim's oxides. I love the oxides too. In the US, well, where I am in Central Time, it's 10:05. 1:04 p.m. in Australia. Thanks so much for watching. Tonic has a lot of great values. I agree. Judy, thanks for saying give this video a thumbs up. I always appreciate that. Yeah, 4 designs in the 2. I agree. It's definitely a great value for what you all get in it. And I like that they made that embossing folder so that it's like a couple designs in one. Ooh, there's so many comments rolling by. Okay, so I'm going to go in with this darker blue too. I'll watercolor in a flower with it. But I'm going to play with kind of like, I'll play with shading and stuff like that right now. I want to show you guys how to add some like really fun colors and mix them on here. And then I'll show you what I'm really creating with this card. So I'll throw in some yellow on this one here. Little yellow center, and then wiping off the color to the side on your hand or whatever can kind of be helpful to blend. And I just remembered I'm not even on watercolor cardstock. But it can still be, it can be more of a challenge to blend, but it's still kind of fun on here. So I'm throwing in some blue or some green kind of yellow color there onto that lighter blue. Then with the purple, you could throw in some yellow in the center, or you could mix in some blue. So I'll throw in some blue here too, in the center of that purple flower. And I'm just tapping it because it's not blending a ton. It's 11:05 p.m. there. Saturday in Australia. That's awesome. That's so cool. So I'm just going to keep painting some color in here. Just having fun. And again, since this is watercolor cardstock, it reacts differently than, regular cardstock, it reacts differently than the watercolor cardstock would. You get 2 completely different looks, but I love playing around with surfaces too and seeing how the different surfaces react to the color. Okay. So again, I'm just throwing down some color here. And then I'm going to go in here and I'm going to add some purple into that blue. It's a little bit drier, and I'm just kind of mixing those purples together. And I love this oxide because with the oxides, you get a cool look because they're kind of opaque. So instead of layering that little dye ink on there that's lighter, you get that more opaque color, and it kind of sits on top of each other better. So I think these flowers look kind of fun. It's not completely a fail. I think it looks pretty cool. And again, just kind of experimenting with the colors really helps. So that's kind of like some fun colored flowers there. I kind of don't even want to cut that background apart. Oh, the cord fell again. Oh, darn. Okay. So I'll move that back up. Make sure that's in place there. I'm grabbing my heat tool here so I can just heat this background up. Thank you so much, Joanna. That's so nice of you. I'm so glad you guys like this. I love the effect of it. And I think even without the watercolor cardstock, it creates some different effects, but I kind of like them. And I love that white space in there too. That's something I always love with watercolor. So before I move on to what I was gonna do with this, we're already an hour in, but I'm just having lots of fun here with you guys. So I'm gonna grab some water, just spray it over top here. And I'm gonna go in with some watercolor cardstock, and you guys loved this earlier. I just love how simple this technique is. So I'm just gonna go in and tap some of these colors together. And even though they might not all go together, and some might make mud, hey, we're just gonna try it out, see what kind of results we get. Because it's better than just wasting the ink. So even if I don't love the background, you can always like die cut parts that you love out. So I'll grab my heat tool, heat set this. And look, you get kind of that fun, this one's really fun, it almost looks like a galaxy. I'm gonna go back in, and since it's dry, it doesn't need to be bone dry, it doesn't need to be completely dry, but just going in and touching some of those colors there gives you some more speckles and some fun effects when you're painting this color on. And look, that's like an effortless background right there. I love that, and if you don't love it, you can always just die cut like a word from it in a place that you do love. So if you don't love the background as a whole, you can always die cut it. I agree, why waste the paint, right? You can always... So look, that's just a fun background on its own. So you can create with that, die cut with it, just make a card with it, you know, just a focal point image. But I'm gonna go in and share the final thing, the final last card we're doing here with these flowers that we created. So I'm just gonna finish this off. So I'm gonna go in here with my smaller scissors. I just found these. I lost them for a long time. After cleaning my craft room, that's where I found them, just under a lot of stuff. So I'm gonna go in here and I'm just gonna cut these apart. And look, since we did it kind of messy, there's some color bleeding into places where it's not supposed to. But again, I love that look. So I'm just going with it, I'm rolling with it. Right, so I'm just gonna cut these petals off wherever I think it is. You know, the design isn't, you know, meant to be cut apart, but you can just cut it wherever you want, kind of. And look, there's a fun flower. It's got a little green in it, but I love it. Yeah, if you guys click down, I think it's down below here, the little like, quality settings, you can change it to HG and it'll change it on your end to make it look even better. It might give you a little bit of buffering though, so you might want to check that out. But look, so I'll just go in here, I'll cut off some of those leaves from these flowers. This way, you can use these flowers by themselves. So look, it doesn't just have to be a background, which I love, because if you invest in like a die like this or whatever, and you don't want it to be a background, you get even one more use out of it, and then you don't have to buy little flower dies, because you've got this larger die you can create little flowers out of. And look, if I don't want to create a scene, if I don't want to layer the leaves by myself, I can just take this, and look, it's already layered. So you've got the leaves there on it, and the flower, which I think is so much fun. So I'll go in here, I'll cut off this little purple flower, and this one's right on the edge. So I kind of got to make it up. We'll see if I can do it. So we'll kind of create our own petals here. This isn't going to look, you know, perfect. You can always tuck it underneath. So yeah, I just cut it off kind of to a rounded edge there. You can always tuck it underneath something else on the card. And then it creates a perfectly fine little flower that you created. And I'll cut off some of these leaves, keep some of them attached to it, but I'll cut some of them off. And look, you can make your own little bouquet of flowers. So like, let's just say you want to like layer these together. I'll cut a couple more apart here. Yeah, I'll show all the cards at the end, for sure. And then I didn't put sentiments on them, so I'll go back in on Instagram. So make sure you're following me on Instagram at Inklips. It's the same way it's spelled here on this YouTube channel. But if you go in and follow me there, I'll post something pretty shortly after this, I think, with all the cards finished, with sentiments, maybe little critters and things like that. That way you guys get to see how they all completely turned out and how they all dried and things like that. Sorry if I missed some comments. What if you layer back on the ones on the left on the straight edge? I'm not sure. If you layer them, so you could cover up, if there's like a straight edge, you could cover that up with other flowers for sure. If that's what you meant. So I'm just gonna cut this out. And okay, so I'll be done there because I don't want you guys to just sit and watch me fussy cut flowers. But here, I'll put this together for you guys so you can see how you could kind of create your own little bouquet of flowers. So look, I'll take one of these here. I'll adhere that down with some tape runner. So I'll just add some tape on the back of it. We'll place that down here. And then let's say we want a flower on top of it. So I'll put this one on foam tape. Oh yeah, great idea, Linda. So if you guys are subscribed to my YouTube channel right now, you also want to click that little bell icon in case if you're interested in getting all my notifications and making sure you always get the notification for when I'm live or for when I post a video. Make sure to click that little bell icon and turn on like always notified, and that way you guys can get a notification every time I post, so you'll never miss it, or you won't miss a live stream or things like that too. So that's always really helpful. And then I'll go in here and I'll just take this last one. If it wasn't the same color, it might be better, but it's a similar color to that other one. I'll also throw these leaves in there too. So look, I just cut these leaves apart and attach them. Yep, I'm 16. Thank you so much. So I'm just gonna put that down there. I can lift it up a little bit, throw these leaves underneath there, and look, we got a fun bouquet of flowers here. So like, it doesn't have to be difficult. You can create and make it really easy. Thanks, Joanna. Thanks, Connie. That's awesome. So I am going to layer this flower up on foam tape here, and then I'll put this one just straight onto the card. And I'll put it right, I think I'll put it right over here. So it just looks like a little bloom. So like, I didn't obviously spend a ton of time on that, but look, there's just a card in itself. So you could spend even more time laying it down and creating a whole background of flowers and really arrange it nicely. This was just kind of quick, but it's just a simple idea that you can cut these apart and really create them together. The big piece you have left could lay on a card base, and then you could layer the others on top with the open area. Yeah, you could cut out an area and then put a sentiment inside for sure. So you could lay this down on a card. I cut out a little too many, but if you just cut out a few, you can add a little sentiment in there, which is awesome. So yeah, you could definitely do that. And also, you could cut out a couple flowers and then adhere this onto the card and then put foam tape on the back and adhere them back in. So by doing that, you just get a little bit of dimension. So that's how you get a really cool dimensional background out of this, which is always really fun. But this is just a cool way to get a little bit more use out of them. And one thing that I love to do when I do something like this is like the one time I go back to this viscose trimmer. I've switched over to the Tonic Guillotine just because I find it cuts straighter edges. But since this has that guide on it and this swing arm, I can go in with that trimmer and cut in from both sides, so I've got a straight edge on here. And then I'm going to go in with these giant scissors. I love these giant scissors for some reason. Again, you can always go in with smaller ones too. But for me, this is just a little bit faster. It doesn't have to be perfect either. I'm just gonna cut around, leaving a border around the flowers. So you've got some white space there too. But this just adds a little bit more detail and interest to an otherwise kind of simple card. So instead of having all that white space there, you could mount this onto a different color, maybe watercolor or background, and then put it onto there. You've really got endless options. So look, you've just got that card there, and it's got that little edge there. This one moved a little bit. So moved on me. I could adhere it down better, but I just did it for kind of demonstration purposes right now. And look, there's a finished card right there. I love how that turned out, but here's what I'm gonna do with it. I'm gonna go in, just grabbing something from the cabinet back there, just grabbing a piece of paper. And look, I've already got one of these cut inside my papers there, but this is just a way to make it more interesting and get rid of a little bit of that white space. White space is good, but too much white space can sometimes not be good. So I'll take it. This is a top folding card base. I'm just gonna line it up with that edge there. So look, there you have that finished card. You could add some sequins around here, and I'll probably add some more before I finished. Oh, Connie, your battery is low. So look, that's just a fun card in itself. It's really simple, but it's fun. And Joanna, that's a great idea. Do you guys want to stick around for another card? One more? I promise only one. So she just said you can make it into a stencil. And that is a fun idea. So, I'm gonna go in with some Yupo. So this is Yupo paper. This is like that plastic paper. I've used it in a video or two. It's really fun to work with and create cards with. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna cut it to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, a little bit bigger than that. And then I'm gonna go in here. Actually, wait, I want a 6-inch piece. I'll go in with this. It's a little bit bigger. So this is quite a bit bigger, but I'm gonna use it for that stenciling. So this is a larger piece of cardstock. Or actually, no, this is that Yupo paper, sorry. I'll line it up right in the center there. So this is like a stenciling material where you can wipe ink off of it. However, since it's that plastic material, but it's a little bit lighter than a stencil. Like it's a little bit, thinner. But it's really cool to create your own stencils with it you can reuse. So if there's not a stencil on the market like this, we're creating our own. So I'll go in with my Gemini mat again. I love how much die cutting we were able to do on this stream tonight without taking up too much time. Obviously it's been like an hour and 20 minutes, but we've made a lot of cards. Okay, so you want to make sure the die is face up. Takes a little bit of getting used to make sure it's always face up. Thanks, Nancy. I love that 2-color background too. And sometimes I have a problem cutting with Yupo, so I was testing that out, and this worked perfect in the Gemini. So that just shows you how much pressure it's really putting on this. And you could always put a metal shim in here if you need it. But I've been cutting some intricate things and haven't needed it yet, but I don't know. So that's that really awesome paper there. This is that Yupo for a stencil. So look, we got that stencil. We can use this several times too. I don't have to throw it away right away, since it's that plasticky type of material. You're here till the end, Joanna. That's awesome. I'm so glad you guys are sticking with me and chatting tonight and are able to craft along with me. And I'm so excited. Somebody commented they're crafting right along with me, so they would love to see another card. That was kind of my goal with this, with these types of videos, is to craft along with you guys. So even if it's like a longer video, sometimes when I'm crafting too, I love to turn on videos and hear what other people are creating. And just have somebody kind of talking in the background. So even if you're watching the replay, I love having people crafting along with me. So I'll adhere this down with a little bit hanging over the edges. Which one of the die cutting machines is my favorite? I think the Gemini Junior right now, but I just got it, so I'll have to kind of update you guys on that one. Okay, so I'm going to go in here with my blue ink blending tools again, and I'm just going to go in with Mermaid Lagoon. I want this to kind of be like a sky background. Since it's kind of intricate, I'm more dabbing on the color than blending. I'm using a piece of watercolor cardstock. Finally, tonight I switched to the watercolor cardstock here. But I'm going in with that stencil. You can do blending too. You're doing your journal awesome. I'm so excited to hear whenever you guys are crafting along with. So then I'll bring in Mermaid Lagoon. It's a little bit lighter. It's that teal color. Thank you guys. I'm so glad you guys are loving this background here. With streams, I get a little bit carried away. I just create lots of different cards, and I'm glad you guys are enjoying that too. So you do want to be careful with this too. This Yupo really sits the ink on the surface too. So when I'm using these water-based inks, you want to make sure that you know that that color is on the surface, so that blue is still there as I'm inking it up. So I'll throw in some more purple there. We'll add in some of this darker blue. Throw some of that in to kind of create maybe a different shade of purple there. And before I lift this up, actually no, I'll lift it up right now. Oh my gosh, we might even be able to get 2 cards in here. Okay, so I used Seedless Preserves, Peacock Feathers, Blueprint Sketch, and Mermaid Lagoon for that background. I agree, the Gemini is definitely a winner for me right now. Okay, so look, we've got that background there. I love that. It's just so graphic and bold of a background. So I'll spray that down again to bring out really the vibrancy of the color. I'll blot it before it really starts running in to the background, but I want it to stay pretty crisp here. But I did spray it just to make it a little bit brighter of a color. So you've got that bright background there. This is going to be crazy. We're going to have like a 1 hour and 30-minute video, but hey, I'm fine with that. I'm having fun tonight, so I'll wipe some of this color off here. And also this is awesome. We created a lot of cards tonight. So we're taking this Yupo, and again, I said, since it's not paper, it holds the ink on top. I'll link this below after the video. I didn't know I was going to be using it, so I didn't have it linked yet, but most of the supplies or some of the supplies that I'm using are linked down below. You guys have been crafting the whole time. That's so awesome. I enjoy crafting. Or like sometimes I edit along watching people's streams too. So look, that just bubbled right up on there since it's that plastic surface. And again, I used colors that are pretty much cool. The purple is sometimes cool. Pairing it with blue is never really a bad option, so that's always good. I'll go in here with a piece of watercolor cardstock. And I think you guys know where this is going. I'm gonna take this, I'll take the tape off because I don't want that to resist the ink. I want that to kind of flow. So look, you ready? We're gonna flip it. 3, 2, you might trip a little bit. 1, okay. So it's flipped over top of our project. We'll tap down some of that color. We'll pat that over our surface there. And I like grabbing just a piece of paper towel here, so I can just tap that down onto the surface. And any excess color goes into that paper towel, so it doesn't have to be on your hands there and spreading it around. It's like a party for crafters, I agree. It's a fun time. So look, you get that kind of cool background. I love this. This really caught the detail. I could have pressed down a little bit more. Should I try it again? I'll spray a little bit more water on, and we're gonna do it again. We're gonna go for it. So I'm gonna line this up. I want more detail down here. So I'm gonna really press. Since it's that watercolor cardstock, you wanna really press to make it go in all the grooves of the paper. And look, there we go, we got more detail. So don't be afraid. If you want more of that detail, just going back in there can bring some of that in. And look, I could even go back in and do it again. I don't know if I want to risk it. Should I? I think I'm going to. So I'll just spray some more down, some water down to reactivate that color. Just lining it up again. And if you don't line it up perfectly, it's just watercolor. So it looks like it. It doesn't have to be lined up really. And look, we got that color running out the edges, so this creates a really cool background in the end. Yes, I love that too. A lot of you guys are loving this background, and it's so cool with that watercolor. These inks, I promise you, really do a ton. I've just got them all linked down below just as kind of one big, Distress Oxide inks. If you guys use my links, it helps support me down below. So if you want to buy any of the supplies, just click on the links. I would really appreciate it. It gives me a little bit of a commission that helps, and it doesn't cost anything extra for you guys. It's just kind of a little thank you, So I'll wipe off this. And look. I'm just gonna wipe off some of that color. And it basically all disappears off of there. There's not enough color back on there. There's not enough color on there to stain it again, so you can keep using this over and over on your projects. And it's not ruined because of that water. The water didn't do anything to it. It's still that piece of plastic. My brain just keeps having more ideas. Yeah, I did not have this many ideas before I went live, but you guys kind of inspire me with your comments, and I should have a Facebook page so we could do crafting along and share what we did while you're watching you. I should try that. I should try sharing, doing that, creating a Facebook page with you guys. That sounds like lots of fun. So that's an awesome comment. Some bling in the centers will complete it. So we're gonna heat set this up. This is gonna be our last thing on this live that we're doing. I agree. So I'm going in here. Okay, so look, now that that's dry, I'm gonna grab some bling here. So I'll grab some little rhinestones. I think these ones are from Studio Katia. Or actually, yes, I've got these ones. These are the silver ones. And I'll finish it off with these. I think that could be fun. Or should I do like, Okay, these are even more fun. I love these. Okay, this is what we're gonna go in with. So these are the Studio Katia April crystals. These are the iridescent ones. These are so much fun. So I'll go in here and I'll take my liquid adhesive. I use Collage Medium Matte. Again, I'll link some of this stuff that I don't have down below. We just kind of played along with this live stream. So these ones are iridescent, so they're lots of fun. They kind of shine and take on some of the color that you have around your project. So some different size rhinestones in here. I'll go in with a couple different sizes. I'll pour some out. Yeah, I don't usually use a ton of bling on my cards, but you guys are inspiring me tonight. So I'll take some of these fun colors. I'll use some littler gems in the littler flowers. And I don't think I'll be able to do all these tonight because I don't want you guys to just sit here and just watch me put bling in. But I just want to show you what it'll look like with all these down. That is so much fun. It really adds a lot to the card. And you can really make a watercolor background go far with these little crystals. So look, just adding that little bling in there creates some really cool effects. And that's not something I would usually do, but since you guys recommended it, I like that look. I like keeping things pretty clean and simple, but a little bit of bling doesn't do any harm. So I'm just throwing these in here. You did call it for the bling, Natalie. This does look great. And yeah, I normally don't just think of that, but sometimes I forget that I even have them in that drawer over there. So look, that's a lot of fun. There's a couple more. We'll just fill in these last two little circles. It's not too much. You guys are all right. You guys are so inspiring. I agree, Joanna. You guys have some great ideas. That's why it's so much fun to come on live and chat with you guys, because you bring some cool ideas to my cards here. So look, that is so much fun. And it just adds to this background and completes it off. So look there, we got all the bling placed in there, and that finishes off that watercolor background. Super fun. You could obviously add bling to really any of the cards that I showed tonight, or like glitter or whatever you really want. But that is a fun looking card with all those bling. And this is from Studio Katia. It's those iridescent, what are they? Oh no, they're the April crystals, but they're iridescent and they really shine and create a fun look on your projects. So I'll set those off to the side. Here's what that one looks like. I'll bring in all the cards so you guys can see them here. Everything we've created tonight. This was just a fun background with that color, with some of that leftover color that we had. So this one was that ink blending through the stencil that we made. This one's the reverse of that. This is cutting those flowers up and watercoloring them. This one is that emboss background with the dye, so you can do that fun embossing with your die cutting machine. This is using the embossing folder and putting some ink inside of it before you do it. You can also just use the embossing folder plain too. That's always fun. This is that wave side of the embossing folder, so it's really cool how they included that wave in there. Here's one where we did that color, that excess color, just that background with any excess ink. And we put the brown walnut stain over top of it by blending. Here's that window card that we cut out here. So it doesn't have those embossed details, but it's got that fun window panel on this card. So this is a really fun one. You could add another fold over here so that it covers the inside, and then you can write a sentiment on the inside too. And then last but not least, I'll probably end up cutting this one down, but it turned out like this, so I'll bring this one in here. This is that finished one. I just need a little sentiment on here. So this is that same thing with the embossing there. So using that embossing folder to complete it off and then inking it up with Distress Oxide inks. So we basically used the Distress Oxides on all of these cards tonight. we created what, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'll turn all these into cards. We're gonna have 10 cards by the end of this. I'll turn this into something too. And instead of 5 cards like I titled it, we have 10 cards now. So 10 cards, 1 kit. I used the embossing folder and die from Tonic Studios. So I call it kind of a kit. It's a mini kit kind of. It's just a product that they have with the die, with 2 dies, and then the embossing folder for both of these. So all the products that I use will be linked down below in the description. Again, it helps me out if you guys use those links at no extra cost to you. I'll flip over the camera here so you guys can see my face again once more before I leave the stream. So thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. I really always appreciate chatting with you guys. A lot of you guys always want more lives, which I am happy to do. I try to do one every other week, every week. I don't know. Maybe I'll start like a Facebook Live or something. I'm not sure when my next live will be. I'll try posting a schedule. We're kind of busy during the summer, but sometimes I just go on live and hop on here. Usually I try to schedule it an hour before so you guys can see it then. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Again, I'll share all these over on Instagram at Inklips, the same way it's spelled here on YouTube. So you guys can see all the finished cards in their final glory on there with all the sentiments and things like that. And I might do a blog post on this since it's such a big card thing too. So I'll let you guys know on Instagram if there's a blog post, and then I'll post all the pictures on there with all the information, all the supplies and everything. Massive thumbs up. Hurry back. I will. I'll try to hurry back on here. Maybe I'll do another live stream tomorrow. I'm not quite sure. But I'll try to let you guys know. So give it a big thumbs up. Click that subscribe button down below if you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to see more of my videos like this one. And I also do tutorials and fun videos with card making and crafting. So be sure that bell is hit too. And then you'll make sure to get all the notifications and never miss when I go live or when I post a video here with card making and crafting. I enjoyed chatting with you guys tonight, and I'll see you all very soon for another card making and crafting video. I hope you all will have a wonderful night and a great weekend. I'm glad I got to chat with you guys before the weekend was over, and happy crafting this weekend. Bye guys, have a great night.